Today is quite the full circle day for me because I'm getting to use my platform and extend it to someone who has used their platform on several instances to host me and lift me and my work up. Today's guest has brought and done so much to not just the Cincinnati community, but actually the world. I am so glad to introduce renowned jazz vocalist and the star of my new show, A Night with Nina, Miss Kathy Wade. Well, hello.
I can't even get started with you.
Right. And this is exactly how I would imagine it would go for us.
Starts off with a smile and a laugh because there's always a joke somewhere.
Exactly.
You have to laugh at yourself.
You got to smile to keep from crying.
And then there's that. Oh, Lord.
So, as you guys can see, joining me on stage with David
Hi.
Miss Kathy Wade, the beautiful. How are you feeling?
I'm doing well. It's always good to be in your company.
I was just about to say the same thing.
There's so much creativity when we get together. It's like, well, why can't we fly that monkey in?
Well, I mean,
I don't understand why you can't.
Somebody needs to tell me why.
Right.
I'm like, we're creatives. We solve problems.
Exactly.
And we just like to create.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
because there's always a solution behind that creation.
It's funny you say that though, because I was thinking when I was driving in, like one of the things that I like so much about you is you really teach me that. You teach me so much.
Good.
Teach me how to be a damn star.
Okay. Are we packaging and selling that now?
Right. Yep. We're gonna put that out there. Kathy Wade will teach you how to be a star.
Multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Okay, we're sorry.
But you taught me, like, just seeing all the work that you do, the stuff that you create, these programs that exist, people see the organization, which great. And that's the whole thing. Like, let's build something that's bigger than us. Yeah. Learning through Art Incorporated. You've got a whole, mascot are we calling? Paige Turner.
It's not a mascot.
Not a mascot.
It's our spokesman.
Look at me messing up the name, the brand mark, your spokesperson.
Yes.
I mean, it's like so much creativity, and it's like, why not build this thing? Why not be in all of these schools? Why not go around collecting all these Emmy nominations? And I'm like, who is this Kathy?
The question of the year. So let me just say this. You hear people always say, oh, if you stick with it and you keep working at it, eventually you get what you want. And I used to think, oh, yeah, right. There's got to be more to it than that. The honest to God's truth is that there is no more to it than that. Yeah. It is putting in the work. Mm-hmm. It is convinced. You're always telling a story.
Right.
And I can remember, I just shared this with a sixth grader from SCPA, a dear, dear friend of ours who passed away way too young.
The sixth grader?
The granddaughter. It's her granddaughter.
Oh, my.
It's her granddaughter, and her son brought her by my office because she's at School of Creative and Performing Arts. She's a dynamic, she and her good friend were there, and such a dynamic sixth grader, very articulate, I hate using that word, but just she calls herself a creative.
Yeah.
And she clearly is that beautiful voice, wonderful spirit, incredible vernacular. I mean, I just love talking to her. But one of the things I told her was that early on in my career, I hate to say that, sounds like I've been at this 1,000 years, and it probably has been 1,001. But early on, my very first attorney.
You say your very first attorney?
Attorney.
Okay, just want to make sure.
You don't go anywhere without an attorney.
Again, see, this is how she teaches me. I need an attorney.
You gotta have somebody on speed dial.
Right.
At any rate, but my very first one, Ron Porter actually said to me, you always want to be able to tell your story so that when you tell it, you're always telling another part that you haven't told before, because it keeps people interested, which was a great dovetail to another wonderful piece of advice from Harriet Marsh Page, who said to me after I got my very first really major review for performing in the old Cincinnati Post, I'm dating myself now, you must always remain a mystery. Because if everybody knows everything about you, they'll lose interest.
Which is interesting in today's world of like
It's hard to be mystery.
influencers
Mhm.
and social media
Mhm.
and so much. And then we decide to do stuff like this to give
Mhm.
people even more of a peek. Like,
Mhm.
how do you maintain, like, what is for the world and what is just Kathy's? Like, what do you decide to share? Like, do we get all of you? What?
You know, in the subscription world, there's a thing called the paywall. So if nobody gets behind the paywall for, I mean,
I know
in
that's
my
right.
life, I mean, it's just paywall is there to protect what I don't want you to know. That doesn't mean you have to pay me for the information. That's not what
Right.
I'm saying at all. I'm simply saying that because the world is so easily accessible, there's a
Mhm.
ton of information out there about Kathy Wade.
Right. Yeah.
Anything that you would want to know. The
I
things that
think
you
more
don't.
information out there than we like to give credit for.
Well, and the other thing is that the cool thing about having been told this so early in life is that everything you're going to see out there about Kathy Wade has to do with her business, singing,
Yep.
performance,
Yep.
community work, engagement, trying to shift the outcomes to be more positive for people
Yeah.
that look like me, making sure that the audience out there that looks like me, that's under the age of 2,
Mm.
even,
Mm.
and above, sees themselves.
And
in
how
what I do.
important is that?
Seeing yourself?
Yes.
If you don't see yourself, you can't be yourself.
Come.
I mean, I say that with every interview now
This is-
because I want people to really fully hear what I'm saying and embrace it. And when I say it in most situations, oh God, that's so brilliant. It might be brilliant, but it's also the truth.
Mhm.
And that should be your guiding light, no matter who you are in whatever career you're in or whatever business you're in. That needs to be your guiding light. If you
Right.
walk into a room today
Mhm.
and the decision makers that are in the room, or just the influencers, or just the people in the room, if the room all looks alike, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dial it up because there's something wrong, because that's not
Mhm.
what the world looks like.
Is that been your experience though? Like,
Walking into rooms
because it's
and
not what the world looks like, but it is what portions of our world looks like. Maybe.
yes, portions. I've been at this a long time. I have a nonprofit, Learning Through Art Incorporated, and we have always been dedicated to building resilient communities through art. We're 31 years old. There are many things that have happened.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you
Lord.
so much.
We in our 3rd professional season, 5th year incorporated.
And that is why I'm so impressed with you all, because
you're impressed with
are,
us.
yes, I am. You are moving it. You
Hmm.
don't take no for an answer, and you can't.
Because you don't.
I don't.
And
I don't. I always go back and find again another way to ask you.
I heard something. The one time I got to hear TD Jakes speak, he said it's a shame to be around greatness and not be great. And so one of the things that I do, like, I guess if you want to call it secret to success, and it's no secret, to tell you how to do it. Anything that you want to do, you find somebody who's doing it, you study them, and you start going, how can I do that? And if you're lucky enough, you ask, how you do that? And
Right.
there was like this mystery, like when you were just the name to me, you're like, but you're the person I study, you among many other people, like, oh, you're making moves, you're doing things that I would like to do. And then it was just so crazy to be able to just say, and how do you do it? And you just freely give the information.
Oh, yeah.
Freely give.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People think that power is gained by retaining knowledge. That's not power at all. Power is sharing knowledge. Because the more knowledgeable we make people, the better we are able to create the new whatever.
I love that.
In a collaborative sense. Because when you collaborate, you're probably sharing,
right,
giving access, taking care of the lack of inclusion, making sure that it is diverse so that people can access and belong. That's all of those buzzwords right now.
And that's about to launch us into a whole different conversation. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And you don't want to go anywhere because I feel like this is about to be real good. We'll be right back. Still to come, On Stage with David Cho.
It's a great tune.
It's a great tune. And, who else better to choose from? Kathy Wade.
It's still available on streaming.
Kathy Wade.
And here's a tidbit of information.
And I don't mind if it's turbulent. and I don't mind it's come.
I am super excited to be back, but I'm like, we couldn't even take the break too long because you just drop some gems. Like I'm supposed to be able to hold on to. I feel like every time I'm around you, I need to just be writing. Like, can you say that one more time? Slow down. This idea of sharing knowledge, which is what this show is all about, because we are such a young organization, Revolution Dance Theater. Now, and then realizing what you just said, that we only ever get anywhere by sticking with it. Like the organization is young, I've been doing some form or fashion of this, really since high school, and didn't realize that, oh, you're working towards this one thing to paint this one picture. When did you start? Like, when did you realize like who Kathy Wade was gonna be? Like, oh, this is life. Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky. Both my parents, the music part is what got me 1st, right? That is the bottom line. It is the music, and the music was always jazz.
Yes.
There's 6 of us. I have 5 siblings. My parents made sure that we were all very well exposed. My mother was about teaching your children through exposure. And when you have 6 kids, you have to be very creative. So I always thought that we were at the top of the rock because I went to everything. My grandmother made sure I went to the opera when it was at the zoo. It shows you how old I am. And now I'm into my 16th. We learning through art. We are into our 16th year of a partnership with the zoo.
Come on.
Where Kids, Cultures, Critters, and Crafts festivals, where we build bridges, break down barriers to bring neighbors and neighborhoods together to celebrate our mosaic beauty.
You just see how she keeps that in her back pocket ready to go. But go ahead.
It's an immersive experience of all of the multi-legged animals from around the world.
Yeah.
Bringing and introducing and gathering all the 2-legged animals from around the world.
Come on.
So that you will never be able to say that you don't know a purple person, a green person, a turquoise person, a chartreuse person, a white person, a black person, a yellow person. You're not going to be able to say that anymore because if you come to this day, the entire day is dedicated to you meeting your neighbor.
And it really is a true display of diversity. We got to be part of it. So thankful this year.
And you guys were absolutely flawless. I mean, the day was just, we had a 3-year hiatus because of COVID. So to come back that strong, I was a little, we had 8,000 people show up, which I thought was,
Hey, come
15. But everybody looked at me and said, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
8,000
8,000. Yeah. So you're doing these programs, pulling thousands of people. Some of those little organizations trying to get 800. You got 8,000 coming. You're into all of these schools. You have all of these awards. I say we put some respect on your name. Yeah. Like from my perspective, one would think like, oh, everybody recognizes, supports the things that you do. But is that in reality the experience? Like in the ecosystem, as far as support, level of support, the resources, the capacity to run your organization? How much of this like is still really this Black woman just out here making it happen?
I have to honestly say that first, I've got a great board. They understand
Tell me what that's like. Let me behave.
They understand. They are there. I have an incredible staff. There are only 3 people at Learning Through Art on a full-time basis. Everybody else is a contractor.
Wow. Does that include you?
Include me.
Wow.
So we have an active group of 6. That includes the accountant, the grants writer, and our marketing media person.
Making all this happen.
We make this happen.
Yeah.
My program manager and my operations manager, Kelly Jo Asbury and Rachel Parker, are both teachers. That is a rare combination. That combination has just shored up and it continues to solidify what it is that we deliver in terms of our performing arts literacy program, which we've made the umbrella of Learning Through Art, and everything runs under it. So Books Alive for Kids is the program, and we make books come alive through sight, sound, and touch. You read a book, you make a craft, and then there's a show.
Yes.
Because COVID came, we couldn't go into the schools. So we had to come up with an answer. I didn't have anybody really have that discussion about that answer, so there's nobody to tell me no. So I thought, well, we're going to go online. We'll take all of our information, build a Books Alive for Kids site, make an online platform, because these kids are losing ground on reading. We target pre-K through third grade. We're now to the point where we have companion books, so we're actually reaching companion books and an award-winning STEAM curriculum,
Come on.
which we
Yeah.
just did last
Which
year.
you wouldn't get if you didn't have impact, if you didn't have numbers, statistics to
Well-
show that this stuff is working, right?
And well, here's the simpler answer to that. I sat down at a breakfast next to the Gaskins Foundation people and had a conversation. That's how most things happen.
Well,
I
imagine
call
that.
them serendipitous moments.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
If God sits you there, you need to sit there and talk to the table. This is
Mhm.
what building collaborations and, more importantly, neighborhood is about. You to
Mhm.
introduce yourself. So we were talking, and they were telling me what they were doing with their stimulating Saturday programs with STEAM curriculum and how they wanted to add literacy as a component to that.
Mhm.
So we merged our forces together, and Kelly and Rachel created a whole STEAM curriculum based on the books that we use in our library.
Mhm.
And now we've got curriculum all the way through 12th grade.
Wow.
We did a piece on, so it's about the Tuskegee Airmen, and for little kids. And then we did a companion book, You Can Fly, which is done by one of our other authors, which targets children 6th grade and up. But the crafts that they made, since you read the book, you make a craft, and then there's a show. The craft for the younger kids was an aerodynamic paper airplane. The craft for 4th grade up was a drone that they built.
They built it.
It's all aeronautics.
Wow.
It gets us an opportunity to tie historically back to the Tuskegee Airmen.
Mhm.
So we're teaching you history, you're reading, and then you've got this wonderful STEAM activity to do.
And again, watching you, we are entering our biggest school project this year. And really, even kind of related is even doing this show. Like this whole idea of just sharing knowledge and making it so available is a part of this, what we're calling the Dream Project. And it goes back to the very
Right.
first thing that you said, you know, because if you can't see yourself, you can't be yourself.
Can't be yourself.
And there are so many programs out there that, yes, support literacy or maybe have people doing all of these things like building drones or doing whatnot. But what we do know is that a lot of those are not Black led, that there is a disproportionate amount of resources that are given to Black schools. And I do intentionally say Black schools because we see that even though, quote unquote, segregation ended, you know, how long ago, if you look at the numbers, the school system and churches still, you know, that's where you're going to find the biggest segregation. Like how many truly diverse schools can you think of within our school system? And that's why I love what you're doing so much, because you don't just follow the money and you don't just follow the resources. You bring resources to the people who need it most, and you create those opportunities.
Absolutely.
And so when people look at like the Dream Project that we're doing, the fact that we're giving so many people this book, and then it's a book that I wrote, you know, I got that from you too.
Yes.
You know, when we had you perform to a song that you made. Yeah, y'all missed it if you didn't see Kathy Wade dancing with the Cincinnati Stars. And, you know, I got all these people and we try to figure out what music they're going to do. Well, naturally.
You know, Spice of Life.
Spice of Life.
It's a great tune.
It's a great tune. And, you know, who else better to choose from? Kathy Wade.
It's still available on
too.
streaming.
Kathy Wade.
And here's a tidbit of information, not to take you off your point, but that song is featured in the kiosk in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame.
Come on.
Which I have 3 spots in there.
And I want to talk about that coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on stage with David Choate with Miss Kathy Wade.
Still to come, on stage with David Choate.
Who are the Ninas today that we're sleeping on, that we're not giving the respect and props to? I am so excited to share that we have finally got all of the tickets up on our website, and tickets are now on sale for the first season of David Choate Productions. With the all-new DCP and RDT season pass, you're getting 9 shows. That's one show every single month beginning in November. I hope to see you in the theater. Your ticket to my show, somebody else's ticket to an opportunity. And we are back enjoying a fantastic conversation with the Queen.
Aren't you sweet? I'm gonna take it and run.
Take it. I mean, because the last I heard, how many spots in the Black Music Walk of Fame? Tell me about that.
So, interestingly enough, first of all, I have to give kudos to the president of the commissioners, Commissioner Alicia Reese, for having the foresight, the vision, and the wherewithal to carry that through. Yeah. Not that she did it by herself. It took all 3 commissioners to do this, and the support of the community.
She definitely pushed.
But she really pushed. She got it done. And so when I got a call like a year ago asking for information. It was actually a message on Messenger, which I never answer. But I saw Black Music on. I thought, well, let me answer that.
Yeah.
So they wanted some information. I sent it to them, and then I got notification that I was a music influencer, which I thought, oh,
congratulations.
That's really kind of cool.
Congratulations.
Right? Thank you. Because I've been performing now. I hate to even almost say this out loud. Don't anybody take this wrong. And the answer is always, you don't look that old.
Of course.
Okay.
Not a day over 30.
But I've been doing this over 40 years now. So it was.
And how was that possible? If you don't look at that,
I was an infant.
Okay.
But no, so that was gratifying within itself. And then through the press push that we did as influencers, I ended up over at the airport the week it was being open and dedicated and all that. And so I needed a ride back to Cincinnati. And I rode back over with Commissioner Reese, and she said, let me give you a tour. And so she did. And everybody on the job knew her.
Wow.
All the workers. I mean, it was like, I said, my God,
Yeah.
you come down here and build too? I mean, they talk to you like you.
But that's a testament.
I'm part
to,
of the crew.
There are people who lead projects,
Right.
and they are totally detached from the communities in
Right.
which they are
She is not.
going to be in or that they represent.
Right.
There are people who lead projects, and they did the writing. They're the great articulate. They're the one
Right.
out there, but they're not really in it.
Right.
And it sounds like Commissioner Reese, not only sounds like, because I've seen her, when through my growing up, like she's always been a face that you actually saw there.
Absolutely.
And it's like this fanning out moment for me, just over you all as Black women and what you do for this city. I just loved everything about it. And beyond the Walk of Fame, you're the first person that the new company, David Choate Productions, like in this whole presenting arm thing, where we wanted to do this concert. And I'm like, the first one, I just really want to celebrate the richness of Black women, what you bring to the table. And I chose a night with Nina for that reason. And I chose you and Miss Debbie Hill for that reason as well, because Nina, Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra is about to do a program as well.
Right.
The music canon is now known all over the world. But when she was here, she wasn't respected, as highly as she should have been. The troubles, the trials that she, had to experience, the racism that she experienced, the fact that we would not have even had her voice in a really real way. When you realize that what she really wanted to do was just play the piano.
Absolutely.
First. And was denied that audition on her race.
Well, and not to cut you off, the whole, you mentioned the CSO's program, just that shows you the depth and breadth of her talent. Juilliard, classically trained.
Yes.
But the commitment to making sure that she was going to be, I would say, respected, and the folk around her that came along with her were going to be respected too. Her very first concert, the parents were going to be seated in the back. And she said, no,
Uh-huh.
no, 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 no.
Absolutely
At a
not.
young age.
Absolutely.
At
At
a
12
young
years old.
age.
12 years old.
And said, if they're not down here, I'm not playing.
Right.
You know, that takes a lot of gut, because that means that at some point people will shut you down.
And that's what I want people to see, because they see us out there, they see the final finished product. You know,
Mhm.
I recently did a performance, it was a beautiful performance. I had a dancer up there, you know, with a full live orchestra playing behind them. And, you know, people see that, they see the polish. They have no idea that that dancer is currently homeless right now.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know what it took to get
get
to
them.
that. Or,
Exactly.
you know, even these people that, you know, icons like Nina Simone that,
Mhm.
oh, well, you know, she's been performing in these, you know, venues all this time.
Mhm.
Well, also during a time when Black people were not even allowed to be on the orchestra level. And she had to fight for that. Like, I'm not playing unless my parents, you
Right.
know, get the seats that they
Right.
got, you know.
Right.
Or at a time where a lot of people don't even realize when we would come to the theater as Black people, we had to sit all the way
balcony.
up in the
Balcony.
upwards balcony. Oftentimes, as you were walking up to that balcony, you would just start to get the smell of like either pee or human feces, even.
Mhm.
Whether it be from like the toilets being clogged up there, but nobody ever like
Going to take care
going
of
to
it.
take care of it because that's on the colored floor,
Mhm.
or the fact that because the toilets were clogged, but you weren't able to use the downstairs restroom, there are stories of people going to the theater and using the restroom on themselves.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like
Mhm.
this, but we don't give that portion of it. We'll just talk Nina Simone,
Mhm.
you know, or
Right.
Kathy Wade, and that's not a far distant history, by the way.
No.
Nina Simone is not some ancient archaic
No.
character.
No. No.
And here we have the living, breathing Miss Kathy Wade. And I'm asking the questions
Mhm.
today. Who are the Ninas today that we're sleeping on, that we're not giving the respect and props to? That school that she got denied admission to, they give her an honorary degree a few days before her death. We can't wait until people are gone. We waited until Dr. King was assassinated. Then came all these Martin Luther King boulevards and the statues and the We
Mhm.
Love Him. But when he was here,
Mhm.
none of that. And so that it just made me wonder, as I continue to meet people like yourself,
Mhm.
like, how much better has it gotten really?
I think this is where what you do, because I've been at this a long time, and I'm a geek. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't know that, but at the heart of the matter, I am a geek, because music is geeky.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
numbers,
Yeah.
you know, and
Creativity.
creativity,
Yeah.
randomness,
Mm-hmm.
chaos made whole.
Mm.
I say that because you ask, who are we sleeping on? There's so much talent out here.
Mm.
So I'm just going to use myself as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that geekiness, I've always, and having been, my late husband was an IT person for Delta Airlines, actually. So his geekiness was way beyond mine, even. But it allowed us to be able to get my first and only CD at this point distributed across the world,
Wow.
just by getting
Wow.
on the phone and understanding the beginnings
Yep.
of what was then the
Yep.
beginnings of the internet,
Yeah.
you know, and working that in an MP3 format. There used to be an MP3.com format too, which, you know, I received a lot of residual checks from. They created their own kind of Muzak format, and so I'd be in an elevator somewhere, and my song would come on. I was like, okay, everybody, that's me,
That's me.
you know,
Yeah.
and it would be Kathy Wade. So having, once again, as we just talked about, understanding how to keep your life private on such a public platform, that same public platform should be able to teach, train, and push your career out there for you if you do it right.
Yeah.
And doing it right now is basically, how do you want to get it done? You don't want to necessarily get it done. I always say to people, there's no such thing as bad PR, even if you're being arrested and you got a number beneath you, because it's still PR.
Mm.
Right?
I mean,
But
there are better
ways to do it.
Yeah.
But my point is, it is how you learn to use the medium.
Yeah. And Donald Trump is love
Oh.
him or hate him. He'll show you
Oh,
exactly how to do that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is learning to utilize the tools.
Yeah.
And yes, there's some of that is right place, right time, but all of that has to do with you networking,
hmm
collaborating, being open,
But also
and never
having
taking no for an answer.
there is a tenacity to
Hmm.
do what you just said though. And
Yeah,
there is a
there is.
knowledge of it doesn't have to be given
Right.
because what I think people need to understand about particularly the two of us is so much of what we have was not given.
No, no, you learn it.
You
That's
learn
the
it
other thing. So,
and resources hard fought for,
right,
and performing at the same level, of organizations with a lot more.
right.
And we tend to do it with a lot less.
I hear that all the time.
hmm
You all do quite a bit of work with the number of people and the amount of money that you do it with.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the impact
the
that you
rule
have.
around here is $1 has to be spent 5 ways. Like if I
Right.
can't figure out how we gonna get you
I
want a
like
job, what
that.
else can you do?
Right.
'Cause I didn't got the
Right.
budget just to hold you for just this one thing.
Right.
A piece of equipment's got to get me through a couple of things, a
Right.
couple of years.
Right. No, I understand.
Whatever. But I just say again, it was looking up to literally you that
Mhm.
taught, that showed that, and I'm so encouraged to know that the work is still going on, that
Oh
it's
yeah.
that it's spreading, that it's international.
Yes.
That
Yes.
because, and even teaching us in terms of creating these things, these packets, these tangible things that
Absolutely.
kids can have,
Mhm.
music, things that people sing to. Um, you literally epitomize how we influence and we shape culture through the
Absolutely.
arts. So, like, I'm looking forward to a night with Nina.
So am I.
Because, like,
One of my
it's
favorites.
more than the fact that you can sing.
Hmm.
It's like you can bring us the music, but you embody who she was.
Well, and part of
Aspects of like who she was and being able to like use art to influence.
and
So,
part of this for me is to be able to help share that story,
right.
just like the story you just told. I mean, a lot of people don't know. It's a great documentary about her on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely outstanding.
Right.
Where you get to understand the why,
Right.
the possible why. Nobody's
Right.
ever going to know the real why, but the possible why. For me, um, Nina Simone, as I said, I was raised on jazz. On my father's days off, I'd listen to instrumentalists. My mother's days off, I would hear vocalists. So everybody from Nina Simone, Shirley Horn, Dakota Staten, you know, that's what I know.
Yes. Yes.
That doesn't exclude the Billie Holidays or the
Uh-huh.
Ella Fitzgeralds or the Sarah Vaughan's or the Joe Hendersons, or the Mel Tormes. I get to hear all those people.
Right.
So the richness of being able to not only hear them, but to understand their story keeps you on that path. So one of the things I tell people all the time is that part of building the quote unquote Kathy Wade portfolio, I determined I needed a master's degree, and not necessarily needed a master's degree, but I wanted to learn about the business of the entertainment business.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I found my way by introduction into the arts administration program at the College Conservatory
And
of
I am
Music
so
at the
glad you
University of
did.
Cincinnati.
One of the best arts administrators to do it.
Well, the
Mm.
interesting part was that I really thought that this would tell me all I needed to know about the pennies, the nickels, the dollars, the contracts, the recording piece, that part of the business.
Mhm.
When in fact, it was all about running an arts organization, which I had no intention of doing.
Yeah.
That was not my goal. My goal was to at least be able to walk into the room and say to people, hey, I have a master's degree and you need to respect that. What I found was that in the performance side of it all, and this was kind of during the era when Prince decided I'm going to take my name and call it something else, give it a symbol, and
Mhm.
I'm going to produce me. Same thing that Ray Charles did. You have to
Mhm.
understand, as an artist, you must own you.
You must.
You
Because
have
if
to
you
own
don't
you,
tell your own story,
right?
somebody else will tell it for you.
And abuse you,
Yeah.
which is not what you want.
Mhm.
And you don't want to get to the end of a career, as many artists have done, and not have anything. You want
Mhm.
to make sure that you have something, because this is what your livelihood has been. This is your whole self, because you put your whole
Yeah.
self into it. But I needed to feel comfortable and confident. And that's why I went into arts administration. suddenly my late husband said to me, I think these programs that you're doing in schools, that's really nice. It's highly noble, but you need to make some money. So why don't we start a 501c3? And I said, well, if you do the paperwork, because we had to do this as a practice,
Yeah.
in college. And I said, I'm not doing one of those again, but if you do it and you get us incorporated, I'll run it. 6 months later, we were incorporated.
Come
I
on.
let it sit for a year. Came home one day, rap music was out. Kids thought that scratch noise was an instrument, and I lost my mind. And he said, you could get a grant, expand your program,
Mm-hmm.
because we're a 501c3. Expand your program and really teach these kids what the music is, history, all of it.
Right.
And I said, oh, light bulb, okay. So a really good friend of mine, Graylin Swilly, who we were members of the Junior League, helped me put together my very first grant request, which was to the Jurgens Foundation. I think
Wow.
I asked for 8, we got 5, and now we're 31 years old.
Wow.
Now, in
Wow.
between that grant and now, is all of that learning that came along, that what I felt like I wasn't going to do, I ended up doing. But what it also taught me is that I have multiple stages
Yes. Yeah.
in front of multiple audiences.
And
And that's your key.
that's it. That's it.
That's your key.
We're gonna take one more quick break, and then we'll be right back to finish up our conversation with Kathy Wade.
Still to come, on stage with David Cho.
Sharing power.
It's sharing power.
And power is the one thing everybody wants to hold on to. The interesting thing is that when you die,
It's gone
guess where it goes?
with you.
So you need to share it.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you will get real legacy and real world
Absolutely.
change. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We are back. As you can see, it's always a good time. I love, I do love like the people I get to do on this show that people I get to do on the show. People I get to interview on this show that, I'm like meeting for the first time, like get to learn some information. But for the most part, like the idea for this came from just conversations with people that I'm like, the world needs to see. You just got so much information to share. Like how you put us in the first room, looking for an Emmy, to see that
Yes.
beautiful project directed by
Yes.
Mr. Alfonso Wesson
Listen,
himself.
yes. He's our director.
My God, that man. You just connected us to so many opportunities, even on this break,
Mhm.
teaching us like, hey, you did it with me, and let me show you how to do it by yourself. Like, this is how you apply and, do it. It's just really one of the things I appreciate. And again, you said it earlier, is sharing knowledge.
Absolutely.
And sharing knowledge is sharing power.
Mhm.
Which unfortunately does not happen as much as people like to think.
Right.
Because sharing
Right.
knowledge
Is sharing power.
is sharing power.
And power is the one thing everybody wants to hold on to. The interesting thing is that when you die,
It's gone
guess where it goes?
with you.
So you need to share it.
And that's how you will get real legacy and real world
Absolutely.
change. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you have left something substantial, because the hope is that somebody makes it even better than you did.
One question I have for you before we let you go is
Mhm.
how important is ownership? The fact that, you really didn't have that desire to be like this big arts administrator. And you could have not just been, but, your music could have just spoken for itself. Like, I'm Kathy Wade, book me to come sing.
Mhm.
But you do so much to put other people on, to be in the schools, to influence culture, to work with other people, to keep other artists employed, to
Mhm.
spread this gospel.
Mhm.
Why?
Because there has to be a tomorrow. And the good thing about tomorrow is that it gives us an opportunity to get it right today.
Hmm.
from learning from the past, from yesterday.
But
Don't
one thing we've
dwell on
learned from
looking
history
backwards.
is that we don't tend to learn anything from history. I mean, because really, this whole idea of change the damn world, that we say around here, is really built out of a frustration of so many of these problems we talk
Mhm.
about,
Mhm.
and sometimes we even like to talk about them like they are a distant history, like the civil rights
Mm-mm.
era.
Mm-mm.
Like
No,
they're
it is a daily.
a daily thing.
It is daily, and first you have to show up,
Hmm.
be ready. I have this speech that I do, and I talk about the five P's: a perseverance, prayer, um, preparation.
Hmm.
Um, I just lost my last two P's. I haven't done it
Somebody
in a
better
while,
Google.
but yeah, you can. But the whole point is that success is not something you can stick in the microwave,
Mhm.
set it for 2 minutes, take it out, and it's ready. It
Right.
doesn't work that way.
As much as we would like it to.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So no matter what the obstacles are,
Hmm.
if you are prepared, and preparation is the thing that you need to be the most ready with, because whenever it comes, you need to be ready. You're ready to step in, and then
Yeah.
not only are you ready to step in, but it also preparation gives you the practice piece.
Yeah.
And the practice piece gives you the knowledge.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're not waiting for anybody.
Mm.
You are the one who's going to do.
Mm.
So that's the thing. And once you have that, that's your power. That's your secret power.
I love that.
That's what you're going to share. That knowledge that you learn, as we say in jazz, woodshedding. You go to the shed till you get your notes right, till you find that voice, till you find a pattern that you're not repeating over and over again, that you're doing something with the little difference in that note than the last person did, or that you did on the last song.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of jazz. You get to make it what you want when you do it,
I love that.
because you get to speak from the voice that you're in at the time that you're performing, or you're delivering that message in that song, because it is a message. I think that's the beauty of performing for multiple years, that you finally this is life as well.
Yeah,
You
it's
finally
life.
begin to understand the lyrics. So you begin to understand the story.
Yes.
And if the story is going to continue to be, I'm going to have to fight, then
Mhm.
I'm going to have to be comfortable in how and when and who and where I fight, to make sure that I'm making a difference, not only for myself, but for anybody that's coming after me, and definitely for the people standing in front of me right now.
And on that note,
You make me lose myself.
bless my soul. I don't know about nobody else, Thank you so much. Like
Thank you
literally
for having
bigger
me.
than anything. Thank you. I know what taking the time to
Oh
do
no,
something
this
like
is
this.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
I
can't
always like
wait.
hanging out with Revolution and David Cho
Yes.
Productions, and you are. I have to say this: you are truly. If I left the planet in an hour from now, I would know we were in good hands, because you are
Oh,
doing some
wow.
things that I am just so thrilled about. There
Well,
are
keep
many
us in your
things happening in this city that people don't know, that they need to know, that we don't have to create a program to get people to come. We just need you to support what we do,
What we do.
because
Yeah.
we can do it.
Yeah.
We do it.
And you have a lot
we
of
are doing it.
predominantly white organizations that like what can we create? What can we, and I'm not saying like we don't need allies, we do need you to be in the fight.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
we
I am
do need
always
you to like have
partnering.
these other
Yes,
things.
absolutely.
But what bothers me is when you don't support like Black people doing these programs, like presenting themselves. What I love about our series is that it's not like it's like, oh well, we just need to do a diversity program,
Right.
hire
This
Kathy.
is life.
Like, no, this is life.
This is what we
No,
do.
we are Black producers
Right.
who are giving opportunities to more and more, predominantly African American people,
Right.
to tell the stories that we know because we grew up and we lived them,
Well,
and to address the problems that are in our communities. Because,
Exactly.
like we were talking about with Miss Alicia Reese, it's knowing this isn't something we read in a book. This is life that we live. It's something that we experience. And so
Exactly.
that's why I asked you that piece about ownership, because
Yes.
I'm like, I got to see firsthand what you can do when you tell your own story
Yes.
and when you direct your own dollars and
Absolutely.
innovate. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Everything that we're doing, you get to say, and really in a real way, this whole idea of like we're doing 9 shows, the
Mhm.
2 companies together, 9 shows this season, and the whole idea was every month we just wanted to be writing checks to more and more
Exactly.
talent that deserves.
Exactly.
Every month putting out more and more crew calls. We need help. Every month looking for more and more designers. We need this costume.
Right.
We're really what you, Toy Lynn, so many others taught me is how to build this ecosystem.
Absolutely.
It's so much more than the one night that people show up to. This is
Absolutely.
keeping people working all
All the
year.
time. Exactly.
That I love. It. It's
Exactly.
beautiful.
Exactly. I mean, and for us, my personal desire to make sure we are supporting what it is you do, and a lot, the whole Romac, all of that, is to make sure that people get to continue to see it. Because if you don't see yourself,
You will never be.
you'll never be.
And in a city
And
that
we
went
can't have
16
that.
years. Oh, let me not, because I've
You
said that
can.
statistic how many times? But in case you didn't know, 16 years. It's a
Yeah.
very long
It's a
time
long
without
time.
hiring like a single Black woman to do ballet, like in
Mhm.
this city. And then, even now, like the challenges that we face, like you have to check casting to know when can I show up to expect to see myself.
It's interesting.
Do I have to come to the matinee? Or,
Right.
it's,
Right.
I just dream of a world where there are a couple of options for us where
Mhm.
we can too dress up, go into nice spaces, go into the theater, go to the ballet, go to see some classical music, go experience a great night of jazz. So whatever visual art, we're
Mhm.
everywhere.
Mhm.
The talent is everywhere,
Mhm.
but for it to be so absent on our stages is
I think my
insane.
saving grace, I was in a meeting on a board and at the conservatory actually, and someone turned around and said, "Oh, the Revolution sells out all the time."
And I wish it was true, but we appreciate it.
But my
Yeah.
point is that was brought up
Mm-hmm.
by a majority cultured woman
Mm-hmm.
who was making a point
Yeah.
of they're doing it.
Yeah.
So you are resonating. People do recognize, once again, that whole adage that I said earlier. If you walk into the room and you don't see the room looking like the rest of the world, you need to ask the question, why?
Why? Why?
Why is that? And
Yeah.
why should you be comfortable in that room like that?
I was actually at a dinner with you. I won't say where it was,
Okay.
but I had chuckled to myself because I had done one of those things that I do all the time, big, fancy place, and I'm able to count how many Black people on one hand. And my
Mhm.
question is always, and I'm sure that for you too, how do we get more people in
In the
here next
room.
time?
Exactly.
And I was only in that room because of you. And so that's when it's like, now it's my turn.
Yes.
So the next time I get to go to
Somebody
open
comes-
the door for somebody else,
Yes.
and that's how this happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because once again, the sharing of power.
Yep.
It only makes you more powerful.
Yep.
That's all.
I love you.
I love you too.
I can't wait to actually see you on stage, and you too can see Miss Kathy on stage. If you're catching this episode before A Night with Nina, you can catch her live November 25th and 26th at 21C Museum. And we will also have clips available online if you're catching this afterwards. Be sure to visit dcproductions.net. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And until next time, that was it. Man, I told you guys it was going to be a good one. So grateful for Miss Kathy, not just for all the things that she has done for me personally, for my organization, but for the things that she continues to do for our community. And if there is one thing that I can leave you with, one more final thought that she really hammered home is freely give. Even the Bible, if that's something you believe in, says, freely you have received, freely you should give. We learn these things, we have knowledge. Knowledge really is power. Whatever, give it away to somebody else, because that is how you leave a legacy. That is how you change the damn world. Until next time, can't wait to see you on stage with David Choate.